decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murders allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue. He shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him, radical left lunatics that are brilliant people, and they allowed people from all over the world, from the Congo. They opened up prisons in the Congo. They came into our country totally unmatched, unvetted, unchecked, and from all over South America, not just South America. You know, you think South America, no, but from all over. A lot came in from Venezuela. Venezuela emptied its prison population into our country. That's why they have Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs ever. But we took care of them. We took good, strong care of them. And I just want to thank the National Guard in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing to say this now. I can say it because we solved it. But Washington, D.C. was the most unsafe, most dangerous city in the United States of America. And to a large extent, beyond. And beyond that, you go to Afghanistan, they didn't have anything like that. You go to countries that you would think there's problems, they didn't have that. And now Washington, D.C., after 12 days of serious intensity, we took out 1,700 career criminals. If you have 5 career criminals, they can make your numbers look very bad because they'll commit many crimes a day. But we took out 1,700, and they took them out. There was no doubt who the boss was. They did an unbelievable job. Then they started even cleaning. I said, I don't want them doing that, sir. They were cleaning it up. I drove through it 2 days ago. It was beautiful. People are walking down the street holding hands, man and wife, coming from Iowa. They're not worried about being shot. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. In fact, I went out to dinner with my crew. I haven't done that. In theory, I wouldn't do it. And I felt totally safe. And nobody's been attacked. Nobody's been hurt. Washington, D.C. went from our most unsafe city to just about our safest city in a period of a month. We had it under control in 12 days, but give us another 15, 16 days. It's perfect. And people other than politicians that look bad, they think, the Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. We had no people enter in the last 4 months, 0. Even I can't believe that. We had millions coming in, pouring in. 25 million all told, and of those 25 million, many of them should never be in our country. They would take their worst people and their people from prisons and jail, and they'd put them in a caravan and they'd walk up. CNN was interviewing one person. Oh, why are you coming? I want freedom. Good. Were you in jail? Yes. For what? Murder. I said, you got to see this anchor, a young woman. She's like, I couldn't believe. She'll probably lose her job, but because the left doesn't want to hear that. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any. You shouldn't lose any. This is civilization. And he's always up there saying, we're in very good shape. We don't need the military. No, they need the military desperately. How about Portland? Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. And I get a call from the liberal governor. Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding. Sir, we have it under control. I said, you don't have it under control, Governor, but I'll check it, and I'll call you back. I called her back. I said, this place is a nightmare. It's certainly not the biggest, but it's one of the worst. It's brutal. They go after our ICE people, who are great patriots and tough job too, but they love it. They love it because they're cleaning up our country. And so you look at some of the things where they took over parts of Seattle. They actually took over a big percentage of Seattle. Think of that. You remember that. That was a while ago. And I sent in the troops and they were gone. As soon as I sent them in, when we send in the troops, if you have a real leader that says you got to do what you have to do, I put that out the other day. You got to do what you got to do, because we don't want our people hurt as they stand by. I was watching during Biden, there were troops standing up like this, brave, standing up at attention, the way I should stand all the time. And I went like this, and people are standing, their mouth is this far away from their mouth, and they're spitting at them, and they're screaming at them. And that soldier standing there, he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. So they just stand there and they get abused. And a woman was this far away from his face, and she starts spitting in his face, and he's not allowed to do anything. If it's okay with you, generals and admirals, I've taken that off. I say, they spit, we hit. Is that okay? I think so. They spit, it's a new thing. They spit, we hit. How about the cars, where the cars are coming out? They get brand new cars, Border Patrol, ICE, beautiful, nice new cars. And they're driving along and have to go through a gauntlet of rocks being thrown at the car. So here's this beautiful brand new car. By the time it goes 100 yards, it's destroyed. These guys had pretty good arms, some of them. And they're throwing bricks at full force into the window and into the car. It looks like it's a war zone. And I said, never let that happen again. From now on, if that ever happens, and I say it here, you get out of that car and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Because those people are you can die from that. Those bricks go through the windows. You can die. They'd like it to. They'd like it to go through the window. But this was a couple of months ago. They just kept driving, and bricks are hitting the car. And I said, why aren't they stopping? Because they were under orders from the past administration, never stop. But that's different with us. We stop. And since I gave that order, we haven't had that problem. It's very interesting. It's amazing. It's just like in Venezuela. You've seen the boats going. We can't find any more boats. They're carrying drugs. Massive. Every boat kills about 25,000 people. That's what they have. They had fentanyl mostly and a lot of other drugs. And we take them out, and we've taken out 4. So, and it's on air. Everybody gets to see it. Not that we like to do that, but every boat kills 25,000 on average. 20. Some people say more. You see these boats are stacked up with bags of white powder. It's mostly fentanyl and other drugs too. And now we have a problem. General Kane said, sir, there are no boats out there. Not even fishing boats. They don't want to go fishing. I don't blame them. There'll be no fishing today, you know. But it's amazing what strength will do, because all we want to do is stop drugs from flowing into our country. It's destroying. We lost 300,000 people died last year. Everybody knows, friends, many friends probably, that you lost a child, or adults too, but you lost a son or daughter because of what's coming into our border. And we're making it very hard. Oh, and we haven't even started yet. Last month I signed an executive order to provide training for a quick reaction force that can help quell civil disturbances. And this is going to be a big thing for the people in this room, because it's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets out of control. It won't get out of control. Once you get involved at all, they all joke. They say, oh, this is not good. You saw it in Washington. We had gangs of Tren Arag with 10, 12, 15 kids, and these military guys walk up to them, and they treat them with disrespect, and they just got pounded. They just got pounded. The gang just pounded, then thrown into paddy wagons and taken back to their country. Some are so dangerous we don't want to even do that, because we don't want to, some of stone cold murderers, we don't have the confidence, even though they're not coming back very easily, we don't have the confidence, we put them in jails. But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase? Very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all use the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know, they say, we love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member, from general to private, who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching. Everybody in the White House, they come up to me, young women, sir, thank you. I know immediately what they thank you. They don't have to say it. They walk to work now to the White House. We haven't had a crime in Washington in so long, because we got the careers, we call them the careers. We got these lunatics out, and they'll never be any good. You know, I hate to tell this to the liberal media. You could spend time with them. You could do whatever you want. You could send them to the finest schools, which they couldn't get into anyway, mentally. They couldn't get in, but no matter what you do, they'll never be good. They're bad. They're career criminals. I don't know, maybe they were born that way. Some people don't like me to say that, but maybe they were. Certainly some were. Together with the leaders here today, we're also restoring a needed focus on defeating threats in the Western Hemisphere. Throughout this region, cartel terrorists have been allowed to wage a relentless campaign of death and destruction on our country, all because we had weak leadership on top. And we did a great job with it first term, but this is something else what we're doing now. We're taking it to the next level, probably next level times 3. But we had COVID come up, and we had to take care of that. We did a great job with COVID. We had the therapeutics, it was just Regeneron, so many things we did for COVID, but we had to focus on that, and every other country in the world was being decimated by COVID. So we had to change gear a little bit to take care of that. But under our leadership, the military is now the knife's edge in combating this sinister enemy. We have to put the traffickers and cartels on notice, and we've done that. And we've put a lot of them, we've called them a terrorist organization, which is actually a big thing to do. Nobody's done it, but I've done it with a lot of them. It gives you a tremendous advantage. If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence. because it's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't see any more boats on the ocean. You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing. As president, I will never hesitate to defend our people from threats of violence, from the horrible plague that's taking place from within. The Iran nuclear power, the Iran, all of the great power that we thought existed, we blew it out to kingdom. We took advantage of it, and we just really took advantage of it, and it was a beautiful thing to see, and that's what military power can achieve. That's why I chose Raising Cane. He's fantastic, by the way. I hope you all agree. If anybody disagrees, could I please have your hand? Who disappears that Raising Cane is no good? Just raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. All right. That means you're okay. That means that he's okay now, but I saw his results. You know, he took out ISIS. I was told it was going to take 4 years. It took 4 weeks. I went to see him, and he took him out in 4 weeks, knocked him out, knocked him to hell. And I was told by military people it was going to take 4 to 5 years to do it. And I don't even know if we'll have it then, sir. These were the Washington generals. I call them the television generals. But Raising Cane did it in 4 weeks, took out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. As a result of these actions and many others since my inauguration, we're witnessing the triumphant return of peace through strength. We have great peace through strength. America is respected again as a country. We were not respected with Biden. They looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy's falling downstairs. He said, it's not our president. We can't have it. I'm very careful, you know, when I walk downstairs, like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. Just try not to fall, because it doesn't work out well. A few of our presidents have fallen, and it became a part of their legacy, and we don't want that. You walk nice and easy. You don't have to set any record. Be cool. Be cool when you walk down, but don't bop down the stairs. So one thing with Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would bop down those stairs. I've never said, da-da-da-da-da-da, bop, bop, bop. He'd go down the stairs, wait, hold on. I said, it's great. I don't want to do it. I guess I could do it. But eventually, bad things are going to happen. And it only takes once. But he did a lousy job as president. A year ago, we were a dead country. We were dead. This country was going to hell. We were dead in every way, from immigration to military. We didn't have the weapons. We were giving everything to Ukraine. We had nothing. And by the way, I have to tell you, now, as you know, I went over and I met with NATO, and NATO raised from 2 to 5, which everyone said 5% of GDP. Millions and now trillions of dollars are pouring in. They didn't pay the 2% because they know we were there to pay it. And now they paid the 5%. That's trillions of dollars. And we're not spending any money on that war, not 10 cents. We sell our equipment to NATO. NATO pays us for the equipment, and they give it to Ukraine or whoever they give it to. But they can keep it. But we're not involved. We have no money going out. Biden gave $350 billion. Not sustainable. $350 billion. And we have a war that should have never started. But we're not doing that anymore. So I just want you to know we're selling equipment. Our people are buying equipment. They are buying the equipment at full price, a fair price. So I don't want to say we're making money, because I don't want to be making money on a war. It's too many people dying. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. A lot of them are Russian soldiers, but between the two countries, mostly soldiers, by the way. Sometimes, you know, in Kiev, they'll lob a missile in, or some drones in, kill some people. But mostly it's soldiers. Russia and Ukraine are losing 7,000 souls. And, you know, they're not American, they're not us, they're not you. We have a special obligation. But they're soldiers, they're young people, they leave their parents, they wave goodbye, and then 2 days later they're blown up so unnecessarily. And so that's the primary reason I want to get it done. And we got to get it done. It's crazy what's going on. That's the worst war that there's been since World War II. The number of soldiers that are being killed there is just crazy. From 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers die a week. Think of that. So I think we'll get that done. But that's turned out to be the toughest one. I'm so disappointed in President Putin. I thought he would get this thing over with. He should have had that war done in a week. And I said to him, you don't look good. You're 4 years fighting a war that should have taken a week. Are you a paper tiger? And it's a shame, but I think eventually we'll get that one done, just like in theory, I want to knock on wood, because you never know. It's like we're going to have the Middle East done, which is actually a much harder thing to do. I mean, thousands of years. But we have to get that war done. So now just think of it, we're a dead country. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia, a great guy. I was with the Emir of Qatar. I was with the great leadership of UAE. I was over there. We brought back $2 trillion and more. They ordered 200 planes, Boeings. They ordered so much, and they were great. But they all said essentially the same thing. They said, 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. The absolute hottest country in the world. There's nobody even close. Putin said that to me. We met in Alaska, had a good meeting. Then he went back and started sending drones into Kiev. I said, we had a good meeting. But it's one of those things. But we were a dead country a year ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. Good meeting. But it's one of those things. But we were a dead country a year ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. You could be proud of that. And you must have felt like hell when you have a wife or a husband at home, and you used to read the numbers that we can't get people to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. You must have felt like, I have a job that nobody wants. That doesn't feel good. Well, now you have a job that is brimming over with people wanting it. They want it. And you're able to get a much higher quality because now you have your choice. You want so many. And we're going to have many, many people that aren't going to be able to join because of the fact that we don't need them at this moment. But think of it, what a difference that is from, I could just imagine 2 years ago, you're reading front page articles in the New York Times, of course, and Wall Street Journal. They always give us unfair stories, but they played it so big. They were playing it so big. Nobody wants to join the Army, the Marines, the Air Force. They don't want to join. They don't want to join the Coast Guard at all. Nobody wants to join. Nobody wants to join our police forces. Our police forces also. It's almost went hand in hand. And I used to say, boy, I'm speaking in front of the military today, and it's embarrassing because I'm speaking in front of people who have a job that other people don't want, but now you have a job that everybody wants. So I think that has to make you feel good. It's one of the reasons I love being here today, because I wanted to say that. I have to say that. Everybody wants to be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. If you think the Coast Guard and Space Force, our beautiful Space Force, it's a whole different world. And now they're signing up, by the way, seriously big numbers for the police. Dangerous job, isn't it? Fire department. But that's the paving the way for progress once thought almost impossible. I mean, a year ago, you wouldn't have thought that was possible. A year ago, they were talking about making the military smaller because they can't get the people to join. We're thinking about making it larger because we have so many people. And it's nice to be able to cut people because of merit that aren't really qualified for any reason, a physical reason, a mental reason. You don't have to take them anymore because you have the pick of the litter. And they all want to be with you. They all want your job. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. They'll even take your job, Got to be a little bit sharp. You got to watch it. But everybody wants to be doing what you're doing now. What a difference when I speak to you, and I can say that as opposed to a couple of years ago when I was talking to rooms where they were desperate to get people and they couldn't get them. What a difference a presidential election can make. That's all it is. It's just a presidential election. Yesterday at the White House, we put forward a plan for peace in Gaza. We announced it, and we're going to create something that was my idea, but unfortunately I got drafted. It's going to be called the Board of Peace, and it's going to reign over that territory, and we're going to get that done. And they asked if I'd be the chairman of the Board of Peace. I wasn't counting on that. I had the idea for the Board of Peace, but I said yes, and I guess because of that, every leader, everybody wants to be on the Board of Peace, and we're going to watch over that very volatile part of the world and keep it non-volatile, so you don't have to get involved. We want to save you for other things or save you for nothing from that standpoint. We don't want you fighting wars, but if you have to, you're the most lethal fighting force in the world. And I would say that even 2-3 years ago, but now I say it with great enthusiasm. It's so true, and we're striving tirelessly to end the terrible war in Ukraine. And as you know, we're also working hard to get the allies to share more of the burden of our defense. Much of that has really already taken place, but all NATO members have committed to the increase that I talked about. Think of that. That was unthinkable. It used to be 1%, and we got it up to 2% in my last term, and they did not like it. And now I got it to 5%, and I get along great with all of them. In fact, they call me the president of NATO. I said, I don't think so. But they're great. They're great people, and they're spending a lot of money, and a lot of money that they should have been spending in the past. But I think Putin was a wake-up call for them, really. We're now selling large quantities of American-made weapons to NATO, and we're getting really fair pricing. We're making a lot of money. It's my hope that from Europe to Asia to the Middle East, our allies will make similar commitments to increase their military capabilities. And this will greatly strengthen our alliances, and also it will make war far less likely. You know, if you're a strong presence like we are such a strong presence now. And I go around bragging about that. I said, we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. I say it. You never heard Biden say that. You never heard him say anything. But you never heard him say, did you ever hear him say, we have the strongest military? He doesn't say that. I say it. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have great leadership, and I'll tell you, Pete and General Kane, all of the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too. I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of you out of here because we weren't satisfied. We know everything about everybody. It'll also help the United States rapidly rebuild our defense industrial base. Each of you can play an important part in getting allies to do their part. So to that end, Secretary Hagstaff will soon be announcing major reforms to streamline military acquisitions and expedite foreign military sales. We have tremendous numbers of countries that want to buy our equipment, and in many cases it takes too long. They're backlogged. We're backlogged on all the equipment, which is something that's new to us a little bit. And I told those companies, you better get your ass going, because we're selling you a lot of equipment. We're getting countries to buy your equipment. You got to produce the equipment. Some of the countries, I'm not going to mention, but some of the countries are buying a lot, and that's a good thing. They're on our side. 95%. I'll never say 100% because it can always turn, right? You know about that. But they're on our side. The problem is we have to get the companies that make this equipment, and we make the best equipment in the world, but they got to make it faster. We have orders for the F-35. We have orders for everything. The new F-47, we have orders for everything. They got to make it faster, a lot faster. Ammunition they have to make faster. In the coming months, we'll be making even more historic announcements to fully embrace the identity of the Department of War. I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it stops wars. The Department of War is going to stop wars. If we are as ruthless and relentless as our enemies, the United States Armed Forces will be totally unmatched in the future. We have a group of enemies that are very ruthless and very smart but they can't match us. They can't match us. They don't even come close to matching us. Again, it's very important for me to say we're the greatest military in the world, but we make the best equipment in the world. I watched our anti-missile missiles. I watched our Patriots just knock things out like a needle, hitting another needle on the stage. There's a needle up there, and you send another needle up, and it hits it every time. During the war, we went 14 for 14. We had 14, this is where we ran, we had 14 missiles coming at us. All 14 were knocked out of the sky, every one of them. We make the best equipment. From Sparta to Rome, to the British Empire, to the United States of America, history has shown that military supremacy has never been simply a matter of money or manpower. At the end of the day, it is the culture, spirit of our military that truly sets us apart from any other nation. Our ultimate strength will always come from the fierce people, and those brilliant people with such pride, and the unbending will, and the traditions of excellence that have made us the most unstoppable force ever to walk the face of the earth, and that's what we are. Remember, we never want to use it, but we have the most powerful nuclear capability, and I call it nuclear deterrent of any other country, nobody close. The men and women in this room inherit the legacy built and won by Washington and Jackson, Grant and Pershing, Eisenhower and Patton, Nimitz and LeMay. We carry forward the majestic military heritage passed down from father to son, soldier to soldier, and one generation of warriors to the next. You are warriors, you know that, right? You're great warriors, or you wouldn't be in this room. You're the best of the best. From Concord Bridge to Fort McHenry, from Gettysburg to Manila Bay, from Normandy to Sicily, and from the jungles of Vietnam to the dusty streets of Baghdad, America's military has charged into hellfire, climbed up jagged mountains, crossed roaring oceans, and thundered across open deserts to defend our flag, our freedom, and our homeland. Nobody does it like you. Now we are discovering American muscle, reasserting American might, and beginning the next story chapter in American military legends and lore. That's L-O-R-E. It is lore. When it comes to defending our way of life, nothing will slow us. No enemy will stop us. They cannot stop us. And no adversary will stand in our way. They won't stand in our way. We don't want them to stand in our way. We don't want to even put them in that position, but they're not going to stand in our way ever again. You'll never see 4 years like we had with Biden and that group of incompetent people that ran this country that should have never been there. Because we are the United States military, the best, the boldest, the bravest that the world has ever seen, that the world has ever known. With leaders like we have right here in this beautiful room today, we will vanquish every danger and crush every threat to our freedom in every generation to come, because we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. I want to just thank you once again, and God bless the United States military, and God bless America. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
On his picture, it's real easy, Lisa.
A left is a GIF performance artist.
mentioned, and now we're seeing that the top brass have been called to Quantico. So, yeah, I don't think this is the end of it. I think this is the beginning of something new, a new phase for the military, you could say. I mean, we've seen all of these changes recently, the emphasis on war, peace through strength, those things were emphasized there. So overall, I enjoyed the speech. I thought it was good. I still think I'm missing some insight as it relates to, what could be happening behind the scenes. And I'm not going to claim to, say that I know what's happening. But for now, I'll say this. So you have 800 of the top high-ranking generals that are called in. They were also told to bring their trusted assistants as well. During Pete Hegseth's speech, I got the vibe he was kind of throwing out certain, terminologies and phrases and commentary as part of a litmus test for the military brass. He even made some comments that, well, if you guys don't like what I'm saying, you can resign with honor. I thought that was pretty emphatic, kind of trying to remember some of the most impactful points through the speech, right? But, it was so long I can't remember everything. But, that stood out to me. So I do think that there's something else happening behind the scenes as it relates to all of this military activity, right? So I'll leave it there. I think that there is a high potential that if I'm right about this, right? Because I'm speculating here. If I'm right about the litmus test vibe, it looks like they're testing the upper brass, possibly, right? And it looks like they may be doing some cleanup in the military too. In addition to that, I think that that's all in aid of something. Most likely, we'll probably be briefed on special operations that are upcoming. Why else would you call all of them back? That's kind of my thinking, right? And I could be wrong there, but we'll see what happens. I will drop the mic, but before I do that, I want to welcome the speakers to the stage. And once again, if you'd like to join us on the stage, feel free to come on up. Hand raising is open. And yes, let me do a call out, a shout out from the bottom up. Let me refresh here. All right, we've got joining us on the stage, Frank B., Miss Christine, Ben, Brenda, Sam, Karen, Frederick, Judy, Debbie, Lori, Sandy, Tech Crystal, producer, and Denver. Thank you all so much for joining us on the stage. I will be curating for the last 30 minutes or so as we wrap up the room. So if you'd like to join the conversation, feel free to come on up. And yeah, I guess what we'll do is if there's anybody who'd like to comment at this time, just flash your mic. We'll set up a small queue and then we'll get it going. I see Frederick flashing. All right, is there anyone else that wants to be added to this first queue? Okay, I only see Frederick. So Frederick, you have the mic. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting to listen to indeed. Thanks for playing its entirety. I agree with you in that Hegseth definitely came across as the more eloquent speaker in this speech, which I find very reassuring because I definitely needed to know that I could trust the U.S. Army more than I guess I could trust the head of that army, which is another thing that really caught my attention. I guess it comes down to the joint member issue. He made some statement about every member of the army. So I'm not sure if the commander-in-chief qualifies as a joint member and whether he would be subject to the same PT standards. And, essentially if Cankles in the White House would become problematic or if he's just not part of that joint membership. But I think that's why Trump sounded so deflated through this, because he knows he had the opportunity to serve his country a few times in war, but I think he deferred it due to education and maybe bone spurs or something. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's why he really wanted to talk about other things, which he seems to be really concerned about. The thing with Canada, he really, I don't know, I find that really interesting that at a military conference he would talk about a country which they already tried invading twice unsuccessfully. I don't understand his weird obsession with it. I did look into it though, but it turns out his dad was also a draft dodger. His dad he was vanquished essentially from the Kingdom of Bavaria because he wasn't willing to fight for it. So in that I take a lot more reassurance from Hegseth's message of peace, first and foremost, and willing to defend that peace. I find that I was also really happy that he mentioned the Golden Rule. I think that's a pretty good standard for common sense. And I guess I disagree with a lot of Trump on his understanding of how the Golden Rule applies and has applied since '48. I remember that. That was a really interesting thing when Hegseth mentioned rather proudly that since '48 there hadn't been racism or sexual assaults. I find that...
What he said is that has been banned in the military. That's on the books. So the enforcement of that that's up to the people in the military. And if there's problems with enforcement since the time that was put in place, which I think is the date that he was referencing, just to give you a little additional context, right?
I understood it to be the year 1948. And I think he said that rather, I just think it's like that's rather late to not be racist, to not be sexually assaulting people who are trying to defend your country alongside you.
That's a historical fact that they implemented that in the army at that year. So I'm not sure why you're hanging on to that, Frederick, but you did bring up something that was quite interesting about draft dodging. So do you have the link to that? I'd really love to look into that a little bit more.
It was Wikipedia. Yeah, sorry, I trust Wikipedia. I'm not sure if that's a major character.
You trust Wikipedia? Oh boy. Well, Frederick, we're going to have to help you out a little bit because Wikipedia is not a reliable source for information. And if you're getting information solely from Wikipedia, I would recommend that you do just a little bit additional vetting to see if the information checks out. All right?
Okay. Yep,
but
thank you.
Regardless, though, I thought what you mentioned is interesting. And, this is an evidence-based community. So be prepared to provide evidence to substantiate any claim that you make on the stage. All right?
Yes, I guess the other, I did a quick Google search on both those things on Frederick Trump's past, which, so another
No, Frederick, it's okay. Share the link in the chat. That's not the focus of today's conversation, but as a passing comment, you brought it up and, I'm interested to learn a little bit more about it. So if you do have the link, you can share it in the chat, but I'm going to pass the mic back to you so you can close up. And remember, we're talking about, comments from the speech. I want to focus on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. To be clear, you want the link to Frederick Trump's, why he was banished from the Kingdom of Bavaria, like that draft dodging history, or Trump?
Yeah, that one. No, that one specifically, the one about that would be Trump's father, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So you mentioned it. It's a passing comment. It's not really very important to this discussion, but just drop the link in the chat and I'll ping it there. But back to you, Frederick. You have the mic, and then we'll go to the other speakers.
Rachel made a correction. This is Terry in the chat that it was President Trump's grandfather, Friedrich, that was dodging the military, I guess.
Thank you. I was really wrong about that.
Grandfather. Okay, no worries. Oh, and thank you, Terry, for the audible. I didn't see the message in the chat there by Rachel. Thank you, Rachel, in the audience. All right, guys. So we're gonna move past this. Okay, Frederick, I'm gonna pass you the mic again. Try to stay on topic this time, okay?
Okay, I consider it to be on because Trump mentioned Canada, and there's a history between his
No,
yeah.
you're not on topic. You're not on topic, Frederick. You're not on topic. You know what? You know how I know you're not on topic? Because we're taking comments based on the speech, right? You mentioned Canada, and you're taking us down another path because of your particular biases. Can you put that behind you and focus on the speech that was made?
I have difficulties putting it behind me because the United States of America is the only country that has tried invading mine twice. So hearing that,
What's your country?
Canada. Hearing that,
When did the United States try to invade Canada twice? Do you have reference for that so that I can look into that?
I think it was 2 different years. I think it was 1812 and maybe earlier on, like 17 something.
So you're bringing us back to 1812 right now. Okay, Frederick, here's what I'm going to do.
Trump mentioned it.
I'm going to move you to the audience, right? We're going to move on to other speakers. Is there anyone else who'd like to comment? We have limited time.
I would. Hi, it's Crystal. Can I go next?
Yes, go ahead, Crystal.
Thank you. So, I agree wholeheartedly that Hegseth's speech was definitely powerful. It was direct. It was necessary. And I will say that almost the entire time he was talking, I just kept visualizing this social media post I had seen a couple years ago. A lot of you guys hear me have probably seen it too, where there was a classroom of, I don't know if they were Chinese, I'm guessing they were Chinese kids that were assembling and disassembling weapons, and the comment or the caption said that, you know, while our kids are occupied with TikTok, you know, what these kids are learning. And that just kept replaying in my head. First point. Second point, I have concerns. My only concern at this point with what was said, I didn't hear in the beginning. I was somewhere else, so maybe I missed it. Did anybody hear him mention waivers? Because in the military and upon recruitment, there are waivers that are provided for certain medical conditions. And this is all great. However, if the military continues to issue medical waivers, there's still a problem that would need to be addressed. So I'm hoping and praying that there's an overhaul in the waiver process as well as the medical board process, where they're able to medical board members that are unfit for duty out. This is something that's near and dear to my heart because I've worked in this area. So I'm hoping that that is part of this plan as well. And with that, I end. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Crystal. You know, I don't remember hearing them mention the waiver specifically, but, you know, I hope there's provisions put in place for that.
So this.
All right. We have Sam. Hold on. Wait
Yes.
a minute, Denver. We have an open mic. All right. Sam, you wanted to go next?
Oh, yes, I did. I didn't know my mic was still open. Yes, I wanted to.
All right, hold on.
Say,
So we're gonna go Sam, and then Denver. We're gonna do you after that. All right, since Sam had her mic open, I just wanted to make sure we have a clean stage. So Sam.
I wanted to agree with Crystal. I think medical waivers are definitely necessary, and I also just say kudos for Trump and Pete Hegseth to bring all the generals and everything, to have this kind of a meeting, have everybody there and say, this is our plan. It's not our plan. This is what we are doing. And gave option for anyone who doesn't want to do that, then they, can retire or whatever, but know that they gave everyone notice you're on board. If you're not on board, let us know. And I think it's great. We need our military back. We need it strong. We need it respected. And we want to, be sure that they're strong, safe military men. I mean, if my son's out there fighting, I want someone just as capable as him. Their lives depend on it, besides our country. So I think that's great. And to bring the respect back to the military that it richly deserves. So, yeah, both of their speeches were just great, incredible. And I just wanted to say kudos, and I'm really happy that they did that. I don't think, has there been another administration to ever do that? Does anybody know?
Actually,
To bring
Sam,
everybody, yeah?
this is the first time this has ever happened in the history of America.
That's what I thought. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that's what we need. Okay, thank you. Let this all land.
You're most welcome, Sam, and thank you so much for your comments. Now we're going to go over to Denver. Denver, sorry about that, sir. You have the floor.
Yeah, there are just a few things that needed some clarification and some about some of the comments that were made. So, Crystal, when it comes to exemptions and things of that nature, I just want to highlight that Hegseth rightfully stated that people in the military are not civilians. So laws that apply in terms of, like the ADA 2000, like for disabilities and things of that nature, those don't always apply. Now, with that said, I want to clarify that if they're a constitutional protection, such as freedom of religion, then that has to be honored even in the military, because being in the military does not prevent you from being protected by the Constitution. So that's a distinction that I want to make. So are there going to be exemptions? There are. What are they going to be related to is the question. Because the medical exemptions are not protected under the Constitution as we know it for the military, to my understanding. But the religious ones and things of that nature are. So I think that's an important distinction that I wanted to share with you. Also, I wanted to make the statement. Frederick made a comment on, and I've seen this on X as well, that does this conditioning requirement apply to President Trump? And there have been a lot of quote unquote leftists or liberals or whatever you want to say that have been saying, oh, he eats McDonald's or whatever. But to understand how our military is in the United States is our military has a civilian commander-in-chief. So he is actually not part of the military, but he oversees the military as the commander-in-chief. So these are very important distinctions, but they can be subtle if people aren't paying attention to basically how our system of government works and how some of the laws state these things. So I just wanted to clarify a few of those things. I'll land there.
Well, that was awesome. Very informative as usual, Denver. And thank you so much for clarifying. Crystal, I hope you gained some insight into, the specifics and the details. Denver, that was amazing, sir. And, thank you for addressing what Frederick brought up with that aspect as well, too. So, we got clarity in a lot of areas there. So I think we can move on now to some other speakers. Welcome to the Truth Seekers Tavern, everyone. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. We're taking some post-commentary after the address to the military leaders from the War Department. We heard from Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and we also heard from the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. So let's pass the mic around. We have a few more minutes before the top of the hour. Who would like to grab the mic before we close out?
Hello, researcher.
Hey, Frank. What's happening, sir?
All right. When you mentioned about behind the scenes, I think you mentioned something about behind the scenes in both speeches. And I know for a fact there's at least out there. And what a PED is a Presidential Emergency Action Document. Only the president and a small handful of generals will know what that is. We won't know what those are until we see them play out. This is one reason why I like, when you play the X-22 report, Dave Nazipson is very good at reading Cube and understanding it. But I think that everything that I've heard in both speeches, I couldn't help but think over and over and over, this is all Agenda 47 playing out. And for those who aren't aware of what that actually is, Agenda 47 is to get this country back to what the intended reason or reason that our founding fathers had. That's the whole thing. And this all has to do with getting order in Trump's first term. And it's called the 1776. These people, some of these people in Trump's administration, has been part of this committee. It's all these 10 things our founders had for our country. I mean, Agenda 47 just kept on just ringing in my head, screaming in my head. You know, it has to do with, I think, 29 different policies. Some are the same, some are different. But it all has to do with the United States basically being rebirthed. And that's what we're seeing. In the last 5 years, 6 years, it's been like, we had to feel it, we had to experience it. And, you know, it's never going to be easy. It's never going to be pretty, you know, but it's happening. And I think Hex Seth is spot on. I think I listened to some of the things he said, and I should have wrote it down. I was driving when I was listening to it. But if I listen to the tape again, there's going to be some clues and subtle hints about what some of those pedes are. And the other thing for me to look for is when there was peace last time with Trump, when he was visual president, the Democrats and rhinos tried to get their hands on that stuff, and they couldn't.
Is Frank still speaking?
Yeah, I don't hear him.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Frank. I think we may be having some connection issues with Frank. Yeah, I thought it was on my side, so I wasn't too sure. I was actually checking my connection, but we seem to have lost Frank. While we wait for Frank to come back, is there anyone who would like to grab the mic? We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more quick comments before we close out.
I can share some thoughts about it. So it's you know, the feeling of how Hegseth was speaking. This was it. Actually, someone posted something like an excerpt from Kindergarten Cop, where Arnold Schwarzenegger was speaking to like the 5th graders and stuff. So we're basically just from an authority perspective, talking at people versus talking to people, which was interesting because he was basically asserting what the military was going to be moving forward. But he also covered himself when he was stating that he knows a lot of the people in the crowd were actually already doing a lot of these things. But it sounded like what he was doing was, you know, flushing people out. And so that's what this seems to be, in my personal opinion, to try and do a shakedown of finding out who's committed and who's not. And he actually referenced this in the speech when he stated that some people were, you know, yes, following orders, but were they deep believers in what was going on? And so he did make that distinction, which I thought was important. You know, and I thought his address was a lot more pointed and precise than Trump's. But Trump was touching on a lot of different elements. But he also was, I think, setting it up to understand too that essentially I would sum it up as in the United States is be bullied anymore by people within it or ideologies or other countries. And that's basic.
That's more embarrassing on you, bro. Like, you're the reason why people actually hate Somalis, you know? Like, why do you want to touch what that is from?
Bitch? How do you know me, bitch?
This is not the first time you literally jumped on people for that, bro. One time I was speaking with Amir, you jumped in and asked if I were Ethiopian. I'm actually part Ethiopian. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not.
I got
Why
nothing
do you
against
want to know that?
Ethiopians.
Why do you want to know that?
I got nothing against Ethiopians, my dear friend. You're the one that's jumping to conclusions, okay? Much love to
I'm
you,
the
bro.
one
God
that's
bless.
what? I'm the
Listen, I have nothing against Ethiopian. I'm saying in general, there are people
Why
who have.
do you want to know people are Ethiopians so you can actually jump against them?
That is a very good question. That is a very good question. This nigga is.
Land of mansion, bro. Even mention landers in it. Asking for where people are from in Somalia in it. You know that's bad. You know that's not something you do in it, right? So why do you do that? And then you have the audacity to say
This nigga is.
you claim Somali. A lot of people do that. Nobody fucking cares, bro. Like, stay Somali.
I feel like it's just a normal part of the conversation.
Brother Side, may I interject, Brother Side?
Go ahead.
I just want to say peace and blessings to you, by first and foremost, right? But the reason why I asked the brother Armando when he said he was Caribbean, I'm Caribbean myself, so I was kind of curious, what island he came from in the Caribbean.
I understand.
That's why I asked brother Armando that. So I wanted to apologize for the confusion.
No, sorry,
Chucky.
Beyond,
But I want to. I said,
it's not that.
First of all, why?
I've noticed a certain pattern with Rondo in it, and I find that quite nasty. Like, what's the habit of always trying to people where people are actually from, so that you can actually just say, like, what do you want to say? Why are you trying to?
Nothing, bro. Nothing. Is that a big thing? I'm not racist. Unless you're a Zion, then khalas. Or you support the Zionism. If you're,
then why are you so interested in learning if people are landers or not? When they say something problematic.
Exactly. Why would you be interested in that if you are not racist?
It's not. It's beyond race. It's not race.
Oh.
So salute to my fellow Caribbean brother. We in here, you heard?
Yeah. Hell yeah. See, we taking this shit over.
Yes, sir.
We black, we Jewish.
So,
we want
Armando.
Yo.
Armando, the question is, if you respect Prophet Jesus, peace and blessing upon him, right?
Yeah,
why don't you respect the place where he was born, Bethlehem, Palestine?
Okay, I do respect it. That is not a smart question.
Okay.
And I do respect it.
That is a smart question. So if you support that that part, then you should support the Palestinians, correct?
No, not it. Exactly, that is
why not?
It's a dumb question. Okay, so
why would you not support a place where there's people living there on that land where
Okay, so let me give you an example right now. What if I had a family and my family was like 50,000 people or maybe 5 million people, and we were like, okay, we're gonna take over Bethlehem, and then we killed all Palestinians and Jewish people and whatever they had there, and then in 500 years, someone like you would ask someone like me the same question. What would they say? Would they have to support me because they support Jesus?
Armando,
no.
Armando, can you tell the room who killed Prophet Jesus, peace and blessing upon him?
Jews.
So the people that are living on that land are the majority. Hold on. Are the people on that land living majority Muslims?
Yeah.
So then, what problem do you have? Supporting the Palestinians because they're Muslims. They respect Prophet Jesus, peace and blessing upon him.
They don't respect Jesus, first of all. They don't respect Jesus, first of all.
They do.
Muslims don't respect Jesus, first of all.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
No, you don't. No,
yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Armando, can I ask you a question?
Stop lying. Yeah.
Armando, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is your nationality? I just want.
Dutch. Europe, but I'm black.
So you're black, and knowing what happened to us, you don't support the Palestinians?
Who said I didn't support the Palestinians, bro? I never said that. I do support the Palestinians. I support any.
So are you pro-Palestine or are you pro-Israel? What are you?
I am neither. Neither.
See the contradiction there in the statement? He said he supports the Palestinians, but when you ask him a question, are you pro-Palestine or pro-Israel? Neither.
Okay, so let me clarify. Let me clarify.
He don't speak for the rest of us. No, he don't speak for the rest of us. We support
I don't even know who you are.
We support Palestine.
You don't speak for the rest of us. You don't speak for the rest of us. You don't speak for you. You only speak for you.
The black community does not. The black
community is not behind you, my guy. You don't know who you are.
We support Palestine. We support Palestine.
Whatever,
you know why?
Whatever.
We can recognize bullshit when we see it.
Okay, so why do black people? So why is Africa still happening then? And kids dying of hunger? Why is that still happening?
Listen, I don't know about all that.
If you can see, you don't know about all that. Shut the fuck up, bro. Bro, you too dumb, bro.
Yo, Balenciaga.
You too dumb.
Yo, Balenciaga, you can hear me, brother?
Because of these policies. All right. So there you go. So that's the simple version of what's happening.
Okay, so the simple version, the growing theory is we're coming ever closer to social unrest because the economic gap between the rich and the poor is widening. Right?
Yeah, yes, for sure. And so what this means is that asset prices are driven up as well, which means if this keeps on going at this rate in these Western economies, we do have a danger of people being, there's already talk about Gen Z being completely priced out of the housing market in major metropolitan cities, right? The average cost of a house versus the average wage has gone up by multiples of where it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. And this is the issue. This is just going to keep happening because real estate and property is like a blue ribbon asset class. And if you've got this global, even if you just restrict it to billionaires, I mean, there are trillions upon trillions of dollars sitting in these people's portfolios, and that money earns income. They then have to do something with that income. So if you're
individually,
individually or through their family offices.
Trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look at so Elon. If you just put Elon, Larry Ellison, Zuckerberg together, that's a trillion right there.
No, you said individually.
Oh no, sorry. I mean individuals that make up these trillions.
You mean a group of them? A group of billionaires have trillions of dollars. Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So what? Why do I care? Why do I care?
Okay. Well, the easy way to think about it is that your friend who lives next door.
Yeah.
Let's say he's got $1 billion.
He wouldn't be living next door to me if he had $1 billion.
Let's say he's.
I wouldn't be living next to him if I had. I wouldn't be here now if I had $1 billion.
Okay, so he's got $1 billion. He's got $1 billion worth of investments. Okay. Let's say he's making 7% on that money. So he's making 7%.
Let's round it off. Let's make it 10%. It's easier.
10%. Okay, $100 million a year, right? Now,
money does not exist, by the way.
Hey, Connie, go on.
Okay, well. he's going at an accelerating rate, right? So he's not just increasing. If you
can be translated as the book of the imminence of the way, or the book of the way and of how it manifests itself.
Which is making 10%.
10%. So the problem is that at some point that pool of money requires asset classes to be invested in.
There's practically nothing to be said.
This is the Tao.
He may have been an older contemporary of Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, and may have held the position of archive keeper in one of the petty kingdoms of the time. But all the information that has come down to us is highly suspect. Even the meaning of his name is uncertain. The most likely interpretations, the old master, or more picturesquely, the old boy. Like an Iroquois woodsman, he left no traces. All he left us is his book, the classic manual on the art of living, written in a style of gem-like lucidity, radiant with humor and grace, and large-heartedness and deep wisdom, one of the wonders of the world. People usually think of Lao Tzu as a hermit, a dropout from society, dwelling serenely in some mountain hut, unvisited except perhaps by the occasional traveler arriving from a 60s joke to ask, what is the meaning of life? But it's clear from his teachings that he deeply cared about society, if society means the welfare of one's fellow human beings. His book is, among other things, a treatise on the art of government, whether of a country or of a child. The misperception may arise from his insistence on wei wu wei, literally doing, not doing, which has been seen as passivity. Nothing could be further from the truth. A good athlete can enter a state of body awareness in which the right stroke or the right movement happens by itself, effortlessly, without any interference of the conscious will. This is a paradigm for non-action, the purest and most effective form of action. The game plays the game. The poem writes the poem. We can't tell the dancer from the dance. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Nothing is done because the doer has wholeheartedly vanished into the deed. The fuel has been completely transformed into flame. This nothing is in fact everything. It happens when we trust the intelligence of the universe in the same way that an athlete or a dancer trusts the superior intelligence of the body. Hence Lao Tzu's emphasis on softness. Softness means the opposite of rigidity and is synonymous with suppleness, adaptability, endurance. Anyone who has seen a Tai Chi or Aikido master doing not doing will know how powerful this softness is. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. This is not an idea, it is a reality. I have seen it. The master has mastered nature, not in the sense of conquering it, but of becoming it. In surrendering to the Tao, in giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires, her mind has grown naturally compassionate. She finds, deep in her own experience, the central truths of the art of living, which are paradoxical only on the surface, that the more truly solitary we are, the more compassionate we can be. The more we let go of what we love, the more present our love becomes. The clearer our insight into what is beyond good and evil, the more we can embody the good. Until finally she is able to say, in all humility, I am the Tao, the truth, the life. The teaching of the Tao Te Ching is moral in the deepest sense, unencumbered by any concept of sin. The master doesn't see evil as a force to resist, but simply as an opaqueness, a state of self-absorption, which is in disharmony with the universal process, so that, as with a dirty window, the light can't shine through. This freedom from moral categories allows him his great compassion for the wicked and the selfish. Thus, the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. The listener will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I've used the pronoun she at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is essentially us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have ironically done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the recording to substitute he for she, or vice versa. As to method, I worked from Paul Carus's literal version, which provides English equivalents, often very quaint ones, alongside each of the Chinese ideograms. I also consulted dozens of translations into English, German, and French. But the most essential preparation for my work was a 14 years long course of Zen training, which brought me face to face with Lao Tzu and his true disciples and heirs, the early Chinese Zen masters. With great poetry, the freest translation is sometimes the most faithful. We must try its effect as an English poem, Dr. Johnson said. That is the way to judge of the merit of a translation. I've often been fairly literal, or as literal as one can be with such a subtle, kaleidoscopic book as the Tao Te Ching. But I have also paraphrased, expanded, contracted, interpreted, worked with the text, played with it, until it became embodied in a language that felt genuine to me. If I haven't always translated Lao Tzu's words, my intention has always been to translate his mind. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable, pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Hence, Po Chu-yi, poet and stand-up comedian, wrote, "He who talks doesn't know, he who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us in a book of 5,000 words. If he was the one who knew, how could he have been such a blabbermouth? That's the problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. But their words are, in the traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop a baby from crying." The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach, not mind, not Buddha." The monk said, "How about someone who isn't attached to either?" Matsu said, "I would tell him, not beings." The monk said, "And what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him?" Matsu said, "I would just let him experience the great Tao." In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses. So simple that every child understands it. And yet, as Bankei said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question. Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response, out of grandmotherly kindness. According to the oldest biography, Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chu, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, "Since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living?" Thereupon, Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would use gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. Tao De Jing. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible, it gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing, possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it, all by ourselves." 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about like someone without a home. I am like an idiot. My mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the Great Mother's breasts. 21. The master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. "22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, "If you want to be given everything, give everything up," they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely. Then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job, then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, You lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. "27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal.
But we don't see this way at all. I'm very orthodox, so I go to that European. So that's if there was a Russian church around me, I'd probably go to that.
If you accept nice, the Tao will be luminous.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I can go to the Georgian church if I want. I can go to. It doesn't matter. They're Orthodox. So it's just a different. It's jurisdictional, bro. That's what I'm telling you. If I start, for example, the church, the Orthodox Church of America, okay, OCA, those guys they didn't have autocephaly, okay, which means that they are under the jurisdiction. They have autocephaly, which means they were started by the Russian Church, so it's the Russian jurisdiction, and then they were granted.
Oh, I thought that meant something else.
And they were granted autocephaly by the Russian Patriarch, which means that they run their own thing now. Okay, they have their own thing. So then it became the Orthodox Church of America. So if you go to the Orthodox Church of America, you're under the American jurisdiction, and they have their own metropolitan. They don't have a patriarch, and they speak English.
If you tamper with it.
But that doesn't mean it's a different church than the one in Greece, which speaks Greek.
No, I went to one of those churches and they spoke. They did not speak English.
Which church did you go to?
In the AOC.
Okay, so they speak English and maybe something else depending on the parish. So I go to the Antiochian one, and they speak Arabic and English and French because I'm in Quebec. If you go to the Antiochian one in Greece, they speak Greek and Arabic. If you go to the Greek church in China, they speak Mandarin and Greek. You see, so because that's their parish, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to be Greek to go there. It has nothing to do with that. Simply it's the idea that when we go to a community, we adopt their culture and language and whatever. That's it. So the Catholics don't have that perspective. The way they do it is they go to China, but their church used to be in Latin, for example. You see, that's not how we do it. We're commanded to be with the world, but not of it. Right? So then, how do you deal with the world if you don't assimilate? You don't adopt their beliefs and values, but assimilate.
No, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Then that's because you're from Alabama.
I think Black Rabbi is going to join the Orthodox Church of America.
Who?
The Black Rabbi. That's his next religion.
No, we won't accept that. That's what I'm telling you.
So he might be president.
Bro, the Orthodox Church in America is the fastest growing church. If you look at the youth, especially the male youth, like the growth of Orthodoxy is astronomical. We're not looking for people. We don't care. Like as the Orthodox, we don't care. We don't play the game of numbers. We don't do that. That's more the Catholics and the Muslims. Like we don't.
People are seeking out Orthodoxy.
Yeah, we want quality, not quantity. So it doesn't matter.
No, you sound like the Orthodox Jews, man. They come look for us.
Bro, the Orthodox Jews say that because they can't get anyone.
I
am surprised. I'm honest with you, bro. No, that's just what it is. The Jews can't defend their faith. It's a very weak. Their arguments are very weak, bro. Nigga, I know you're a Jew. I don't care. I'm just telling you the truth exactly as it is.
Listen, I already told you I'm trying to start my own Jewish Orthodox church. You weren't interested.
Nigga, you can come to the.
Shot down my idea.
I'm here, choir. The Orthodox church.
Abuela's on board. What's up?
You can come to the Orthodox church.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to be around a bunch of fucking Arabs. How about that?
Then don't go to that. If you don't want to, don't go to that.
I want to be. We need to start a Jewish rite.
I think you would prefer the Arabs.
Yeah, maybe. I would. I just think that there should be a Judean rite. I don't know. I haven't given up on that idea.
There is a Judean rite.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're gonna say. It's the Jerusalem Patriarchy or something like that.
It's not a patriarchy. It's not a patriarchy. It's under the Greek one, but hey, future maybe there becomes an Israeli jurisdiction. We're open to that. I doubt it, but we're open to. But it will have to be granted by the Greek jurisdiction.
You don't think it's a future possibility?
It could be if they're granted autocephaly.
Okay.
Doing nothing or doing something that I like playing some sports, just staying at home, watching some movies, eating a lot.
Where's Jamal? Bring Jamal. There he goes.
Okay, this is Clubhouse Social Audio is over. Finished. Good riddance. I'm declaring it dead today. If I have to hear Uncle Steve scream one more time, it's just a question of, you know, what you want to listen to, and I prefer to educate myself. And unfortunately, everyone on this app in many ways is actually rather neurotic and addicted to using words and listening to words in a negative way as opposed to a positive way. So what's so funny is there's some people that play a game on here like Heronstone, which they're actually playing it very badly, and they're not actually achieving what it is that they're claiming. Politically correct. There's only one person in there. Stop clapping for MAGA and kicking people who was down. Oh my god, it's over. Clubhouse is over. There's nothing left. The vacuum has exasperated itself.
There is no God.
Hey everybody!
Religion.
What kind of a...
Hey, John.
Hey Honey Badger, long time no see. How are you? I see you're still doing the same type of rooms.
Johnny, how's the campaign?
We're good. We got 1,100 signatures. We're going to get on that ballot, and we are going to defeat the rhino, the vaccinologist, the super debt creator, Darren LaHood. Honey, haven't you just figured out yet that Clubhouse is actually just a bunch of neurotic people addicted to using words, listening to words? They can't quite figure out why they're so addicted, but I have figured it out. It's called conversational hypnosis. And unfortunately, humans can actually hypnotize each other just by talking to each other. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that you're listening to on this app is nothing but toxic fumes coming out of people's pipe holes, and they're super low IQ, super stupid, super toxic, and therefore for every second that you spend listening to some loser on this app, that's 1 second you could have spent listening to something magnificent. So it's up to you to choose it.
Well, because I need a
This is where I go on mute.
few years, you will come out.
Shut.
Oh, really?
To me, that means that Trump, has done something to transfer the most wealth to individuals, corporate entities, what have you,